Okay, as I make this video, I have the world's neediest cat with me right now, so um, she might make noises while I'm recording this, but there's nothing I can do. Um, I've made some decisions about exactly what I'm going to be doing on this channel. Yes? You have something to say? Okay. I made some decisions about what I'm going to be doing on this channel. I was working on a third anti-rationalist video, but as I was working on it, I kind of realized it wants to be something else. And it really doesn't have a lot to do with anti-rationalism. But these are like the kind of experiences I had that led me to that philosophy. Having to do with politics. And what the conception of that video would be initially is different than what I think it should be now. So I'm tabling that for now. I'm still working on the gender video. And as I've been scripting it and reading as much as I can on gender, that is where my focus is right now. I'm going to try to read a bunch of books about gender and sex on my vacation, so that I'll have a full script by the time I'm done with vacation and then record it. But dividing it into parts and putting it as separate videos has become problematic too, because there's so much overlap that I feel I have to reference things as part of one argument that is going to be brought up later. So to divide them into videos kind of fractures the argument in a way that I don't really want to do. Yes. Anyway. What? What? Okay. Are you sad? Do you want to go down? Yeah. Anyway. So I was reading Judith Butler's Undoing Gender, which a lot of people criticize her for being obtuse and not saying anything practical, but I find her view is closest to my view that I've found in terms of what gender is and exactly how you deal with it. But I think like she's controversial even among feminists, because basically she points out in her work how any definition of feminism and any framework feminism operates in is inadequate in some way. Like it works for in some contexts, but it's inadequate in some way. Like the radical feminist framework works in certain ways and doesn't in other ways. For instance, the liberal feminist framework works in some ways and doesn't. Now, she doesn't do that systematically, but that's what I get from her work. And people say like she's hard to read and like they don't understand what she's saying, which I understand, because like sometimes she goes off about Lacanian psychoanalysis and that just makes my eyes glaze over. But I think I understand what she's saying. It's just that her way of saying it can be very challenging. And if that's the criteria for dismissing somebody, like how challenging we find reading them, or like how unclear they are, then like we would take like half of the philosophical canon and throw it out, because like reading Aquinas, reading Kant, reading any of those guys, it's like you want to just stab your eye out with a fork. Reading Hegel is another example of somebody who's just so hard to read and understand. So if that's the criteria we're going to have for like dismissing somebody, then, you know, we dismiss so many people. But working on that video, I just want to do a very elaborate professional quality video. That's what I decided I wanted to do. I'd also like to do a very elaborate professional quality video on politics. It'll probably be called like How We Got to Trump or something like that. As I like post-election, I read, like I was aware of the book Listen Liberal, but like I read it after the election And I found like amazing how many arguments Thomas Frank makes in this book that I made in my videos about Hillary Clinton and Trump and the election prior to the election and prior to reading this book. So it's a kind of incredible how many conclusions we have in common from examining the history of the Democratic Party in particular. I also read this book, Post-Capitalism, which is written by Paul Mason, who he is economics editor of Channel 4 News in the UK. This is actually the best book I've read defending Marxist economic theory ever. Because I remember when I made a video about Marxism, when I talked about how like the labor theory of value had been largely dismissed and discredited by mainstream economics for a while. Like the Marxists in the comments got really mad at me. But I was like, yeah, but that's really true. Like they dismiss it. Like mainstream economics dismisses it. And I just put forth some of the arguments people make to dismiss it. And Mason like resurrects the labor theory of value even in a information-based economy in a way I've never seen somebody do. And I was so impressed with that. But that will inform those videos. Like I'm gonna start trying to make videos that are like professional quality videos. Right now, I have a Blue Yeti mic, and like Blue Yeti is not that great. I thought that it would give me like sound up into like the best YouTubers sound when I bought it, because that's how people talked about it, but it really doesn't. So I'm going to start recording, starting with the gender video, with this mic, which is a $400 mic. And in addition to that, in order for that mic to work, you have to buy a cloud lifter and this audio interface. So with that, and then I bought a stand, mic stand, and some other things. I spent about $1,000 on this, which is what you have to do if you want professional quality sound. You have to spend like around $1,000. So that's what I'm going to start doing. And I'm also going to start using the editing program that I have for more than just the simplest things, like, basically balancing my audio and doing like simple cuts, which is all I do it for. I'm going to start using like effects in that program to like make like documentary style videos. Because I did that somewhat even using Windows Movie Maker, and I remember people asking like, how do you do that with Windows Movie Maker, because it has almost no options in it for effects or anything like that. And plus, if you try to make a video longer than a few minutes, it crashes all the time, which I had to like constantly save my work, make a video of it, and then paste all those little pieces together when I was making videos with Windows Movie Maker before, because that's true. If you put too many elements in Windows Movie Maker, it crashes immediately. Like if you have like more than 7 or 8 things in there at once. So I was able to make like hour-long like documentary style videos though, because I was just very patient with that technology. So imagine if I put that same patience and attention to detail with the level of technology I have now in videos. And that's where I'm coming from. So I'm hoping to make 2 or 3 videos a month, depending on the length of them. Like the only month that I've planned them all out to the end of the year. And the only month that I plan to do 3 in is October. Because when I was just doing movies, I had these ideas for horror-themed videos I was going to do in October, but then I like lost interest. But I'd like to do 3 of those this October, but in a different way and with higher quality production values. So that's why I'm doing 3 in October. I'm at least going to get the gender video done in August, and then have at least one more. And then I'm going to do the video about Trump in September. That's going to come out, and probably at least one other video. Probably the other video will come before the Trump one because it'll take longer to do the Trump one. The gender one and the Trump one are going to take a long time. The other videos I'm going to do are probably more like pop culture based type analysis that will not take as long. So you'll probably see like the gender video, then 2 like pop culture analysis based videos, and then the Trump one. And I have videos all planned all the way out to the end of December, but I'm not going to tell you what they are because I'd rather you be surprised. What's important for me to bring up right now, I'm not sure exactly when I'm going to do it. I'm not going to do it before August 6th, but I'm going to private all the current videos on my channel at that point. If you want them, copy them now. If you want to mirror some of them, go ahead on your channel or whatever. That doesn't bother me at all. But this channel is going to be radically different. Part of the thing I noticed about my approach to YouTube before this is I was really just regurgitating things I learned and had calcified my own worldview to a point on the old video where what I was doing is I was just regurgitating to other people things that I learned and knew and thought were true on the old channel. Which I think not only is there a limited, market for that, you're only like basically preaching to people who are sympathetic to your worldview to begin with, or share it. So not only was there a limited market to that, which is why my channel was very stagnant toward the end. I had reached somewhere around 3,000 something, almost 4,000 subscribers, but I probably was never, even if I was still on YouTube, I probably never would have reached beyond 5,000 or 6,000, even at this point. So there's just a very limited market for that. But if I make videos that actually challenge myself, like the last year I was really active on YouTube, one of the things that horrified me is I keep track of the number of books I read. And that year I only read 31 books, which is about half of what I normally, in a normal year, would read. And it's because I was on YouTube all the time. So when I spent time away from YouTube, I actively tried to read as many books. I set a goal of myself for 100 books, and I met 100 books that year. This year, I set a goal of 80 books because I thought 100 books was actually hard to reach in last year. I'm at 67 now. So I'm going to go way past 80, and I'm probably going to break 100. Even though I wasn't trying to break 100 this year. Because after spending a year reading 100 books, the methods that I used to get myself in a mindset where any spare minute I had to read, I spend reading. That has become second nature to me. So anyway, I'm going to private those videos. So if you want them, take them. People get mad when I private videos or delete videos. Take them. It's going to be something totally different now. I'm going to be doing ideas that are challenging to me personally. And that involve a lot of research. And that way I'm actually not just regurgitating things I've already learned and becoming stagnant, which is how I felt I was then. Then I'm actually engaging ideas in a way that benefits me as well as benefiting any audience that's interested in it.